Welcome back to the Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. We're essentially stepping into a time machine today. We are going back exactly 2 centuries, straight to the year 1825, to set the scene in the bustling rural community of Newton, New Jersey. We're going to explore the daily life, the intense labor, and literally the deep-rooted community ties of a real family from that era, the William Knapp household. So, let's step right into their world. Here is our roadmap for the journey today. First, we'll look at the Knapp family of 1825, then William's fine shoemaking trade, followed by Sarah's complex household management. From there, we'll hit education and entertainment, and finally, faith, community, and daily rhythm. Basically, we're going to zoom out from the micro level of this bustling family unit to the macro level of their broader community life.
All right, Section 1, the Knapp family of 1825. Let's start right at the top by introducing William and Sarah Knapp. They are right at the midpoint of their lives here, managing a highly active home.
To really grasp their day-to-day, we kind of need to know who's actually living under the roof of their Spring Street home. So William is 50, Sarah is 40, and they are managing a home with 9 living children. Now, what's really interesting about this is how age completely dictated your role. You've got the older boys, Joseph and Samuel, they are already out working trades. The middle boys, Cyrus and Charles, are assisting in the heavy family labor. The middle girls, Catherine and Hannah, are essentially their mother's household management helpers. And then, a whole crew of little ones, all the way down to baby Manning, who was literally born in June of that exact year. Basically, every single capable child had a critical economic or domestic role to play.
Which brings us to a pretty staggering number, 11. That was the massive daily operational reality for the family. You've got 11 mouths to feed, 11 bodies to clothe, 11 people to care for. And remember, this is entirely without modern conveniences. I mean, no indoor plumbing, no central heating, definitely no washing machines. It was just raw human energy and incredibly tight family organization.
Moving on to Section 2, William's fine shoemaking trade. We're shifting focus here to the very first pillar of their family economy, William's master craftsmanship right on Spring Street.
Now, a family this huge required serious resources. And we actually don't have to guess what William did to provide them because we have a literal 1825 newspaper snippet from the Sussex Register. A local store put out an ad saying they had engaged William Knapp to make Morocco shoes. This is huge because it proves he wasn't just cobbling together, your standard muddy work boots for local farmers. He was absolutely catering to a specialized discerning market.
And the reason we know that for sure is the material itself. Morocco leather was this fine, really high-quality material. It had to be imported or specially prepared just to create premium goods. So the crucial point is, William was a highly skilled master craftsman. In an era long before factory-made, mass-produced shoes, he was custom-fitting luxury items. The amount of hands-on labor here was just immense. He's maintaining all his own leather and tools, meticulously measuring individual customers' feet, hand-cutting this really expensive material, and doing all the precision stitching for the final finish. It was completely a year-round job. And those older sons we mentioned earlier, Joseph and Samuel, they were very likely right there beside him in the workshop, apprenticing to learn this incredibly invaluable trade.
All right, Section 3, Sarah's complex household management. Let's move to and see how this builds, because while William is in the workshop, Sarah is effectively the co-CEO running an absolutely enormous domestic enterprise.
Just think about the weekly laundry routine for 11 people. This wasn't just tossing things in a machine and pressing start. Actually, scratch that, it wasn't even close. The immense physical toll of this is hard to wrap your head around. Every single drop of water had to be drawn by hand from a well. Haul it, heat it over a fire, and then you can start the soaking, the heavy scrubbing, boiling, rinsing, hand-wringing, and finally hanging those super heavy wool and linen clothes to dry. Exhausting doesn't even begin to cover it. And laundry? That's just one piece of the puzzle. Managing the hearth and home brilliantly illustrates Sarah's advanced organizational and survival skills. The kitchen hearth was the literal heart of the home, and she's cooking over an open fire, which, by the way, requires insane temperature control. She's baking bread twice a week, preserving meat by salting or smoking it, managing the root cellar, pickling, constantly mending hand-me-down clothes. To keep this whole operation running, she likely had to direct 1 or 2 local servant girls, essentially teaching them household management as they helped out.
So what did all this nonstop labor amount to? Well, years later, William reported a real estate value of $800 for their Spring Street home. And this number really anchors the family's socioeconomic status. It shows us that they achieved a really comfortable, solid middle-class standing. They weren't fabulously wealthy, no, but their intense, unified family economy gave them genuine security.
Next up, Section 4, Education and Entertainment. Let's zoom out slightly and look at how these kids actually learned and how the family managed to unwind in a world completely without screens or theaters.
As for education, formal schooling was pretty localized and honestly somewhat limited. We're talking a rural one-room schoolhouse covering the absolute basics: reading, writing, arithmetic. But learning was deeply valued at home. This was heavily driven by their Methodist faith, which placed a massive emphasis on literacy so you could read the Bible for yourself. So that home religious instruction seamlessly filled the gaps of their formal schooling.
And when it was time for fun? Well, their entertainment in 1825 Newton was fundamentally intertwined with community labor and faith. Think seasonal harvest celebrations or barn raisings, which, let's be real, are literally heavy work events just masked as parties. They had modest Christmas and New Year's gatherings, and church youth events were the main spot for courtship. On a normal night, winding down meant gathering around the evening hearth, playing cards or chess, and reading the Sussex Register aloud to each other. Simple, but highly connected.
Which brings us to our final section, number 5, Faith, Community, and Daily Rhythm. Here, we're transitioning to that macro view of the Knapp's world to explore the external forces that truly dictated their schedule and social standing. You see, what dictated their routine wasn't a clock, it was the sky. The rhythms of life were entirely controlled by daylight and weather. Summer meant incredibly long, grueling workdays driven by harvest needs. It even shortened the school terms because the kids were needed in the fields. Winter, on the other hand, naturally shortened the days. Life shifted indoors, centering around the warmth of the hearth, and William's bootmaking business would kick into high gear for the busy season.
But honestly, no matter the season, the absolute most important day of the week was Sunday. The Knapps were devoted Methodists, and just getting to their service took immense dedication. We're talking traveling a mile or two by wagon or horseback on a Sunday morning. Once there, they dive into a 2 to 3 hour midday service of intense singing, prayer, and preaching. Then, the evening was reserved for essential rest and family time back at the hearth. Sunday was the anchor of their entire week.
And that deep connection with their neighbors spilled right over into their civic life. William wasn't just the local shoemaker, he was a justice of the peace. He was a respected civic leader, helping with local dispute resolution in Newton. So, beyond just their daily labor, William and Sarah were building a true, lasting legacy of community respect and civic responsibility.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Looking back at the Knapp family's intense, labor-filled yet deeply connected lives, are the incredible conveniences of today worth the loss of that deep, tight-knit community reliance that defined their world in 1825? I mean, sure, we don't have to haul our own well water anymore, but maybe we've lost some of that unified family purpose along the way. It's definitely something to think about the next time you just turn on the tap or order a pair of shoes online. Thanks so much for traveling back in time with us today, and we'll see you in the next explainer.